EMS at sea level. I am joined by Johannes, who is the CEO of Note. Johannes, congratulations on those recent results. Another impressive quarter. I've been flicking through and there's some really interesting numbers, but you seem to just be in this mode of being able to add steady growth quarter after quarter, and that improvement in margins also seems to be sticking really nicely. So congratulations on that. When we spoke, I think it was close to a year ago, we talked about hopes and expectations for 2023. And you talked about this perfect storm of a little bit of a slowdown in demand, availability of all those parts that you were struggling to get last year, and the ability to kind of get through the backlog and keep your customers happy and still grow the business. Is that what's panned out, or has the market actually been a little bit different to that?
In some way, it has happened quite much as I planned and what I was expecting. All these shortages will come to an end in a way, and how they end is very hard to see. But as I said before, all the changes that occur, they will come faster than you think, and then the resolution of a shortage will go much faster than anyone anticipates. And I think we saw that this time as well. But what we have seen on top of this, the availability comes back. We managed to get all the backlog out to the customers. But very short after that, we also saw a quite big destocking activity among our customers that I didn't expect to see in this way, because I thought that the customers had less inventory on hand, and so during 21 and 22, a lot of customers managed actually to increase their inventories, and I did not see that actually. But all in all, I think this year is a very, very good year again. A lot of people talk about that this is the end of the high growth at the EMS companies. We will close this year just shy of 20% growth, and I think that's if that's a slowdown, I think it's I take a slowdown once in a while if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's impressive continuation, and we, when I speak to companies, particularly in that kind of sweet spot of being, kind of over 100 million and below 1 billion, it seems to be an area of strong growth and customer loyalty. And I think we're seeing some trends with respect to regionalization and geopolitics that are playing into the hands of Europeans and US and North American EMS companies generally. But when I look at your numbers, some of the numbers, apart from the consistent growth, which is very impressive in itself, but when I look deeper into the numbers, one of the numbers that stood out to me is the net sales per employee, which, if I look since 2018, over the 6 years, has almost exactly doubled. So you've managed to achieve 3x growth in that period and only 1.5x growth in your headcount. That's really significant when we look at the key trends and the future of the EMS industry. How have you managed to achieve that?
I think we are one of the companies that are investing at a higher level in the industry, and I think this year we will invest like 120 million Swedish in pure equipment, and the efficiency you get out of the new S&D lines, and we have also connected all the equipment into the system, so we have a very robust manufacturing system around the machines that has helped us a lot. We have also invested quite heavily into the logistics around it, so a lot of component towers. We have an auto store in Torsby, and all those are linked together, and that helps us a lot. So I would say that our reduction of headcount related to our sales is significant in the logistics area, and then we have also treated our low-cost manufacturing units as Western European. So we have, I think in both Pärnu and China, we have increased sales significantly, but we're less people today than we were when I started in 2018. So I think the combination between seeing those sites as we see the Swedish and the UK sites, that has been a very big help for us. And the profitability comes very nicely along with this. And I always also say that we have, during those 5 years, we have actually increased, or the material content of our sales has increased significantly. So our margin of the material has went from 39% down to 33%. So we have actually given over some of the savings also to the customers. So we have not only increased the profit, we have also managed to reduce the cost content from what we create internally, and I think that is really impressive, and that's what's driving growth.
Yeah, and that's going to drive stickiness with the customers and that continuous growth in demand. I think what's really interesting is you've done that over 6 years. You've done that largely because you're driving towards a more efficient and better managed manufacturing process and greater profitability. But during that time, and particularly now, we're in a position where talent shortages are a real issue. And having that program that allows you to grow your sales at twice the speed you're growing your headcount is significant in being able to meet the demand in the future without having to stress too much about talent. Is that something that you have considered along the way, or is that a happy coincidence?
I don't believe in coincidence, actually, but in one way it is a coincidence. But what we have seen is that we have factories in very different places in the countries we are in. In Sweden, for example, we have our largest site is in Norrtälje outside Stockholm. There's a lot more turbulence in the workspace, so to say. There's easy for people that work for us to take another position. While in Torsby, we are by far the largest employer in a quite big area, and that means that we have a higher, how should I say, loyalty among the staff. We have high loyalty in basically all our sites as well, but it's easier to keep the staff in a site like Torsby rather than in Norrtälje, where opportunities are so much bigger. So we deal with this in totally different ways wherever we are. So we have no fixed way of doing it, and I think that is one way that we like internally, that we see all the sites for what they are, and we don't sit there in the head office and try to dictate how we deal with this. We allow the sites to handle this in their own ways, and then we support them as good as we can. Yeah. So that is how we see. And so far we have not lost any sales due to that. We have been unable to attract headcount. So I haven't heard of any site that has complained about this. We can talk about that it takes a long time to hire, but no lost sales due to this. So we might be lucky, but that's how we see it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I was in Mexico a few weeks ago talking to a contract manufacturer there, and he felt that people were just constantly complaining about skill shortages and the lack of talent available. And he said, the industry has to take responsibility itself. You have to train people, you have to upskill people. And if you look at the fact that you're getting much more net sales per employee, double what you were six years ago, one would think in that period you've actually upskilled those staff, and probably the average income of those staff has risen during that time as well. So it's a net positive effect for them. And as you bring in automation, it's not to reduce headcount, it's to be able to grow the business at the speed the customers demand with the talent that's available.
Oh, I agree. That is, if I take Torsby, that's a very good example where we work together with the municipalities and the schools they have classes that are basically training people that will be good for us to hire. So there's a good combination there, and then so we have people that have only worked for us that are working in Torsby. They might be in the 50s today, but they have only worked in our factory. But they might have done several different things. So we try to recruit them young, and then we encourage them to go to universities to get an engineering degree or similar, and then we allow them to grow in the company, and that works really, really well. It's easier to do it when you are in a small city rather than in a big city. So that's we don't have the same connections like in Lund or Tälje, where the cities are so much bigger.
Yeah, and there's much more demand and there's much more mobility. And the idea of upskilling people to create better and more sustainable jobs for them, as well as a good opportunity for your business, is very attractive for both you and for the industry. I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the automation side. And you talked a little bit about the efficiency that you're getting out of the SMT line. But what I think is interesting when you look at a typical EMS factory, there's a lot of manual stuff that goes on post PCBA. There's a lot of U cells of people assembling stuff. That's an interesting area of automation as we look forward. Is that idea of cobots, of adaptable automation, something that is in your strategy and is in your plan going forward?
Yes, I would say we have several cobots in our larger factories. I would say the activities that happens, especially after selective soldering, that we have also managed to automate in a way. But after that, it's very tricky because there's so many variations and so many different products when it comes to box build, and many customers do not see or think automation when they design the products, and if they're not designed for automation, it's very hard to automate it. So I agree that this is an area where we can do a lot more over the coming years together with the customers. But it's tricky. I mean, material flows quite easy to automate. SMD, fantastic lines today, really fast, really easy to run. But what happens after that is more tricky. I agree with that. And I think you have to we have some products where we have the longer series that could potentially be automated, but a lot of the products where you do maybe 10 pieces in a batch, very tricky to do. Yeah, we will be sticking with a lot of manual work.
Yeah, and I see that absolutely being the case in that high mix, lower volume environment. But I think there are some really interesting opportunities for adaptable automation as we go forward. So when you look at what's going on in the industry, there's obviously shifts going on geopolitically that affect the way you think about where you're going to manufacture, and also where your customers want to place that business. I don't know if you're seeing a bit of a renaissance in terms of European manufacturing and business coming there. I know you've just acquired in the UK, and I don't know whether that's a post-Brexit strategy to help you in that region. Talk to me a little bit about how you see the whole kind of geographical footprint and where next to develop that.
If you look at Sweden, for example, as a country for manufacturing, with the weak currency, it has become rather cheap to produce in Sweden compared to other European countries. So for us, it has been a real benefit to have a large footprint in Sweden. Swedish companies have also very high traditional growth and attracting new business. So for us, it has been a really good, how should I say, connection between us and the customers. And the trend has been very strong of near shoring or whatever we call it. So for us, it has been the footprint in Sweden has been paying off really, really well. When it comes to UK, it's a bit of an interesting story. the market, everyone perceives it as rather weak. But if you look at the outlooks, I think UK is predicted to grow faster than any other country in the coming 2-3 years when it comes to manufacturing. And I would say this is in my mind, it has a lot to do with Brexit. Small and medium-sized serious customers want to have them made within UK, and we want to jump on that trend. So for us, it has been really good. And business in UK is also very local. It surprises me every time I go there that in the sites, very few customers are outside like a radio of 50 miles. So it's really all the customers can basically take the car and go in within an hour or two to us. And so even if we have 4 sites, we're not competing with each other. I think we share one customer between all the 4 sites. So it's not more than that.
Yeah.
So that has been, we like UK. I think, it will be fantastic. It's the only problem that I see is that the Brexit has also prevented a lot of staff to come to UK to work. So there's a shortage of skilled workers. That we have cases.
Yeah, that's one of the big challenges there. And what about elsewhere? Where do you see the footprint developing next? And do you feel any geographical pressure from your customers to be manufacturing in any particular region? Are they pushing less manufacturing in China and maybe more manufacturing here in Europe or into the Americas?
Yeah, I think there's the first thing that I think is very visible is that there is not so much business that moves back from China. That is, in my opinion, it's an incorrect way of, but it's very little business that goes there. So the push towards China has been significantly lowered over the last, say, 3-4 years. And that will over time mean that the part of the business that is produced in China will decline. We recently acquired a factory in Bulgaria to try to offer a similar cost base in Europe for the customers that earlier wanted to go to China due to cost. So that is one area where we believe that we will grow significantly over the coming years. We have just started to turn that factory into a note factory, so to say. Beautiful factory, very, very strong team and so on, good customer base. So we are very pleased with that acquisition. But outside that, I think it's easy to grow within countries that you operate in. You know the culture, you know the politics, you know that. So those are very easy acquisitions to make, and you get a lot of benefits from it. But I think Sweden, we see us that we have maybe 15% market share. We don't need to have a bigger market share. We are by far the largest manufacturer in this country, and it's a very attractive position. But we don't need to acquire more, as I see it. But you never know. You stumble over something that is very, very attractive, and then we might just catch the opportunity.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think now when I look at M&A, I think you have to have that mix of strategic thinking and opportunism, because stuff does come along, and the market can dictate availability when you don't expect it, and if it's an opportunity that suits, then mixing that inorganic with that organic growth is a great way to continue to build the business. Last question. What are your kind of expectations as we round out this year and as we move into 2024? It feels like that all the talk of recession hasn't occurred. It doesn't seem more likely now than it did 6 months ago when people were talking about it even more. How do you feel about the back end of the year in 2024?
I think for us, our view of the market has not changed at all. I think 2024 will be a really good year. We are We have been very clear on that. We have been awarded business that we're still ramping up and implementing in our production. So we believe that 24 and 25 is also looking really strong. And beyond that, we don't see why we shouldn't be able to continue with what we do. So when we had our first capital market day 2 years ago, we had a hope to double in 4 years. We would probably do that faster. And I don't see why we shouldn't be able to continue with it. The customer seems to appreciate what we do, and there is lots of opportunities out there that we try to catch. So we're very high self-confidence, but we see us as as long as we continue with what we do, I don't see why we shouldn't be able to continue with the speed that we grow. It's So I think it's try not to change too much. Just continue with it and
I think your bullishness is pragmatic, and it's not just supported by the sales numbers, it's supported by the numbers behind them, which I think is really important. Turnover, after all, is largely vanity, and it's generating returns on that revenue that's the important thing, and that seems to be improving as well, and you're reaching a nice sustainable level of profit margin and investing in efficiency as well as in growth. So all bodes well for the future. Continued success. Thank you so much for talking to me, and look forward to chatting again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.